Security Guard Training Course, Section 2, Code of Conduct and CISA. Code of Conduct. The Ministry Code of Conduct is to be followed and exercised by all security personnel. In Section 2, we will explore the responsibilities of a security guard under the Private Security and Investigative Services Act. The key components will be defined and explained in great detail. The ministry requires an individual to understand their responsibilities regarding basic general duties, basic security practices and concepts, and ministry regulations. The individual is also required to obtain knowledge about the security guard licensing process. Ministry Code of Conduct. Breach of Code of Conduct. 1. A licensee is in breach of the Code of Conduct if the licensee contravenes or fails to comply with this regulation. Individual licensees. 2a. Every individual licensee, while working as a private investigator or security guard, shall a. Act with honesty and integrity. b. Respect and use all property and equipment in accordance with the conditions of his or her license. c. Comply with all federal, provincial, and municipal laws. d. Treat all persons equally without discrimination based on a person's race, ancestry, place of origin, color, ethnic origin, citizenship, creed, sex, sexual orientations, age, marital status, family status, or disability. E. Refrain from using profane, abusive, or insulting language or actions that are otherwise uncivil to any member of the public. F. Refrain from exercising unnecessary force. G. Refrain from behavior that is either prohibited or not authorized by law. H. Respect the privacy of others by treating all information received while working as a private investigator or security guard as confidential, except where disclosure is required as part of such work or by law. And I. Cooperate with police where it is required by law. B. No individual licensee shall a. Be unfit for duty while working through consumption of alcohol or drugs. b. Conspire with another person or aid or abet another licensee in a breach of this code of conduct. c. Willfully or negligently make a false statement or complaint against another licensee. Or d. Misrepresent to any person the type, class, or conditions of his or her license. Introduction. The CISA is the governing legislation for security in the province of Ontario. This act covers the core responsibilities of security and private investigator. The duties and responsibilities of each person registered as a private investigator or security guard are outlined and must be followed. General responsibilities. When a person violates the conditions to hold a license, they must return it to the ministry within 5 days of the violation. It is the license holder's responsibility to maintain and manage the validity of their individual license. On that note, it is also the license holder's responsibility to be fully trained in accordance with this act. The license holder must renew their license on an annual basis and will require the individual to pay a processing fee. Complying with the security training procedure. It is mandatory for all security guards and private investigators to comply with the training and testing regulation set forth by the ministry. Security guards that have already obtained their license prior to the new training regulations can apply for the test without undertaking training. All new applicants will have to complete basic training and testing. Identification as private investigator or security guard license code of conduct. No person shall a. Possess, display, or permit to be displayed a fake, altered, or fraudulently obtained license. b. Lend a license to another person or permit another person to use it. c. Display or represent as his, her, or its own license that was not issued to him, her, or it. d. Display or represent as valid a license that has been suspended or revoked. Or e. display or represent as valid a license when the person to whom the license was issued no longer meets a requirement under subsection 10(1), 2005, C 34, S 38. Every security guard and private investigator shall identify on request as a private investigator or security guard, must carry his or her valid license, produce his or her license on request, 2005, C 34, S 35, 1. No private investigator or security guard shall use the following identification terms or variations of them: law enforcement officer, detective or private detective, police officer, 2005, C 34, S 40. Uniform and equipment. Under the CISA, every security guard must wear a uniform that complies with the regulations, 2005, C 34, S 35, 2. Some exceptions to this rule are A. Acting as a bodyguard, or B. Performing services to prevent the loss of property through theft or sabotage in an industrial, commercial, residential, or retail environment, 2005, C 34, S 35, 3. Uniform regulation and restrictions. Security guards must carry an identification tag with a security guard's name or license number. It must be affixed to the chest of the outermost piece of the uniform. No collar shirts can be made in black or navy blue. The uniform must not resemble a police cap in any way. The uniform pants must not have stripes along the sides. Security logo. The security logo or name must be present on the chest of the outermost piece of the uniform. The term security or security guard in uppercase letters must not be less than 1.5 centimeters high, and the color must contrast with the dominant color of the uniform. The security or security guard format must be A. Permanently affixed to the chest of the outermost piece of the uniform. B. Must be between 2 or 3 centimeters below the name, logo, or crest. C. In uppercase letters not less than 10 centimeters high and in a color that contrasts with the dominant color of the uniform, must be permanently affixed to the back of the outermost piece of the uniform, unless the outermost piece of the uniform is a shirt with a collar, a sweater, a blazer, a sports jacket, or a suit jacket. Equipment regulation and restrictions, batons and handcuffs. Security guards or private investigators that have the option to use a baton or handcuffs on duty shall be trained by a licensed and reputable company. The training must accommodate all aspects of the equipment's risks and functionality. The baton must be used for defensive purposes, and the security business entity must carry insurance that covers all risks associated with its employees carrying batons. Private investigators or security guards may use handcuffs only if the handcuffs are issued to the individual by the licensed or registered business. Private investigators or security guards may not use cable ties or strip ties as restraints. Complaint. The Ministry may receive a complaint from any person claiming that a security guard or private investigator has breached the Code of Conduct. A complaint must be in writing, signed by the complainant, and filed with the Ministry within 90 days after the incident took place or at a later date with the registrar's consent. 2005, C 34, S 19, 2.